What's up guys, Kati, Kleber here, nurse educator of Fresh RN, and we're gonna chat about 5 different options of jobs you can do as a nurse with anxiety. Now these are all jobs that are not in the high intensity, fast-paced environment in the hospital where you're working directly with patients and responsible for their care at the bedside. And if you've got that kind of care is a little too much, I get it. No shame in recognizing that that's not the ideal place for you. So let's talk about some different options. Number 1, utilization review nurse. So hospitals, insurance agencies, or just healthcare organizations in general, not necessarily just the hospital, will employ nurses to do this. And what this job entails is reviewing charts, looking over patient care, seeing if what is being done and what's recommended is the most cost-effective and efficient way to achieve whatever issue or goal is going on. So these aren't just inpatients, these are also people on the outpatient setting and long-term issues and different things that impact care. So this role is not all talking directly to patients and doctors. You are going to be spending time on the computer and reviewing things and charts and different policies and whatnot, and helping physicians and working with nurse colleagues of, hey, is this really the best way to get this done? Is this the most cost-effective way? You may also be educating patients about their different options, but you're not in that direct care provider role. Number 2, clinic nursing. So instead of being at the hospital, you're working in the outpatient environment. So these are patients who are stable, and you're also not providing this 12-hour care for one or a group of people. Rather, as a clinic nurse, your job looks quite different. A lot of it is on the phone, a lot of it is on the computer, getting medications situated, calling patients, following up about things. Also, patients call and say, I'm concerned about this, should I come in? You're that point of contact who will talk to the patient before they can chat with the physician. So you're also going to be talking with insurance agencies and things like that. It is not constant care for patients. And depending upon the clinic that you're working in, you may assist providers with various procedures, but for the most part, this is on the phone, on the computer type of position. And another benefit of clinic nursing is the hours are better than in the hospital. Typically an 8 to 5, maybe a 7 to 3, no weekends, no holidays, no night shift kind of thing. You often do see, though, that they are paid a little bit less than the acute care nurse, but for a lot of people that trade-off there is definitely worth it. Number 3, telehealth. Telehealth is this new kind of emerging section of medicine where people can monitor patients remotely. So you can work telehealth actually for patients who are in the hospital. So some ICUs leverage this technology, or hospitals that don't quite have all those resources at the bedside. You may have telehealth nurses who are watching the chart, looking at labs and vitals and running protocols. And so for example, maybe if you're a telehealth ICU nurse, and you're watching a certain number of patients and you see, oh, this patient needs to have the potassium protocol run, you would run that together with another nurse based on these labs, and this is what happened, and you would call the nurse who's at the bedside and say, here's what is needed, or you'd put in the order. It's definitely a pretty awesome way to leverage your skills that you have as a bedside nurse, but not actually physically being at the bedside. Now, these jobs might be dependent upon location. If you're kind of in a rural area, it might not be quite as available, but certainly something you can look into. Number 4, a case manager. And you can actually do this remotely these days. So a case manager is a little bit like a step up from the utilization review nurse. You're a little bit more involved. It does require a little bit more experience to be a case manager, and that case manager is really facilitating those patients who are maybe being discharged or have this complex picture where they have a lot of different services that they need. Maybe they need outpatient home health and an infusion center and wound care and physical therapy, and helping manage all that, seeing what insurance is covering, and making sure those appointments are set up and the patient has everything that they need. This stuff does get pretty complex, so you're really more like taking big picture care and making sure that things are addressed for them, instead of like providing the direct patient care. So it's more of like a coordination effort and role than an actual direct care role. Finally, number 5, a school nurse. Now this depends on your location, and there certainly are far fewer school nurse positions than there are at nursing positions at like hospitals and clinics. But a lot of people really enjoy the school nurse role. You do get to develop great relationships with staff and students, and make meaningful differences. It does have absolutely its own challenges, but again, it's different than providing the 12 hours of direct care. Hour-wise, it is very similar to that clinic nurse where, you know, you're not going to be pulling a night shift. Likely you're not going to be working on weekends unless something specific is going on. But kind of a trade-off here, you might be dealing with some abuse and neglect and some tough things with kids, but there are some great, you know, rewarding aspects of a school nurse position as well. You're not dealing with that life or death at the bedside in the hospital, but again, still making a meaningful difference. All right, guys, those are 5 options of jobs for nurses with anxiety. So to review, those are utilization review nurses, telehealth, case management, school nursing, and clinic nursing. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you want more tips and information, I have my email list. A link to sign up for that is in the description of this video, and I'll send you tips directly to your inbox. Thanks, nurses. Stay fresh.